flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Township Board meeting and our nice warm evening. Just remember, February will be here before you know it, so
Can't wait.
We'll just remember this night. So I want to welcome everybody. A roll call tonight. Everybody is present. Approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions?
As supervisor, I would like to add on the item on the business agenda for securing an RFP for information technology support services.
Where's that at?
I'm going to add it to
Where did we get added to?
the business item.
7A. Board.
All right. Okay, anything else? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. All right, now we're down to public comment. All right, no comments tonight? It's nice to see Bob Bowman back tonight in the back row. I forgot to mention he was here last meeting, so it's good to have him here. He's in the back row back there. He's hiding. All right. Okay, so down to the consent agenda, Mr. Wenzel.
I move that Salem Township approve the following consent agenda items. We have the minutes of June 13th, 2017 of the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. We have disbursements for the month of June out of the general fund of $207,831.73. These are checks 26,829 through 26,889. We have payroll of $51,799.96 and Paycor 208.64. Disbursements out of the sewer fund of $26,920.75, checks 208 through 210. Escrow fund $3,297.50, checks 1714 through 1718. I have for the invoices out of the general fund and the sewer fund are going to be a little different numbers. It's $61,000 for the general fund, $61,522.80, and the sewer fund $27,217.54. And the difference is $21,001.12, and it was correct on the individual pages back in the board packet, but I forgot to correct it on the front page. This is the yucca payment that we had to just make last week for the first year lease payment, and we put it into the general fund and realized it had to go into the sewer fund, so that's that. And finally, invoices out of the escrow fund, $7,045.75. Second on that?
Second.
Mr. DeLuca seconds it. Any discussion?
Yes. The sewer fund check for $21,001.12. My responsibility as treasurer is to make sure that there's funds available to pay for the fund. As of yesterday, this morning, I got a little letter here from Joe Grellen, Kim and I did, and it basically says that what you just referred to as the yucca payment has to come out of the sewer fund. It can't come out of the general fund or any other fund. It has to be tracked through the sewer fund. And all payments going in from here going on into that whole thing will have to have either its own unique number or something has to be set up in order to track these numbers. But there is insufficient funds in the sewer fund to cover that 21,000. So there's no funds that I can get out of there. There is no money in the escrow fund to transfer to, and the general budget is not line item budgeted, so therefore I cannot get that money from the general fund to pay the sewer fund. So therefore, I cannot pay that check.
Okay.
So if I can ask, Mr. Plato, do you know the 21,000 in escrow from Salem Springs? What was the agreement with, you know, I don't mean to put you on the spot, I just was aware of this tonight, so the 21,000 that is paid a year that Showstack has agreed to pay, I guess when does the bill actually due? Is there penalties if the check isn't there?
The 21,000 is due, I believe, within 45 days after July 1st, which was the beginning of the contract. And there are penalties after that if it's not paid on time. The agreement with Showstack and the PUD ordinance was that they would be responsible for paying that reserve capacity amount effective December 31st, effective after December 31st of this year. So basically, we have through July through December that the township will be responsible for.
Till December?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. So,
We have basically half of the 21,000 that the township will need to come up with between now and next 45.
next 45 days?
August 15th.
August 15th.
All right. And the other question I had, since I was just aware of this coming to the meeting tonight, how much is in the escrow?
There's, I know it's not enough to cover the
Mr. Supervisor, one possibility is we do not necessarily have to pay that annual fee in one lump sum. We could pay it on a monthly basis if we want between now and December. Break that up even further.
Okay. So can we pull this check and then address it at an August meeting?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do that.
That'd be my suggestion.
All right.
You want to do that?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So we're going to pull the check of, for that sewer fund will be what, 21, less
21,000.
21,000?
$21,001.12. Now, if we can get the money beforehand and figure out a way, we want to authorize it so that we, if it's there, we can pay it, or do we, because by the next meeting, we'll only have a few days to get that payment over there, and then we'll start accumulating late fees. Even though you pay it on a monthly fee, you still have late fees,
Right.
because they want the whole amount.
Our next meeting's August 8th. I think we'll still have some latitude there.
That's good.
There's 5 Tuesdays next month.
All right.
But if Showstack was to advance us the money before the December 31st, we could just do it that way too.
They're willing to do that, but I mean, part of the PUD agreement was not that they would be responsible for the first 6 months. They only agreed to be responsible after December 31st.
All right.
And that was part of the last amended PUD ordinance. That wasn't part of the previous ordinance.
Okay. So, Mr. Clerk, do we need to revise that, or?
No, I'll just make a amendment to the motion
Okay.
that that particular payment check will be just pulled out until next month. Till we address it next month.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'm kind of a little bit nervous when you say we are going to be responsible for the first 6 months. So if we're going to be responsible for half of this, is that going to be coming out of the general fund? Where's that coming from?
It still can't come out of the general fund
No.
according to,
I know. We can kick it down the road, but I still have to come up with the money somewhere.
All right, well, we'll have to work on it. I can't say right now.
I don't need it.
no, we're set, so
Okay.
now we can just
All right.
have a vote.
Mr. Supervisor, one other item on the minutes for last month. Item 3, the approval of the agenda, there was, it indicates that the sewer ordinance would be put over until this month. In fact, the sewer ordinance is being put over until Ypsilanti amends their sewer ordinance. So, because ours has to track there, so that's put over indefinitely.
Correct. All right, we change that. Okay. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. All right, down to business items. We have a mirror scan. Mr. Wednesday.
I move that Salem Township approve the service agreement for the Alchemy data migration into the new DocuWare software system and to authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign this agreement that is attached, as you see.
Support.
So just a quick explanation. We as a board went through this 2 months ago, and we briefly mentioned then, and the same problem is still occurring, is that the clerk's job, part of the duties is to record and file documents for the township. And we've been doing this now for many, many years through this software system called Alchemy. And Alchemy is not being supported anymore, so we have to switch. And this is the same group of software individuals, and they are recommending that we go to this DocuWare system. And from what I understand and have seen, it's a very good system. So that's what we've got the money in the clerk's department for this. So I would suggest that we pass this and keep going on our storage documents.
So is there a cost? Do we have a cost figure on this?
On the last page of the attachment, it talks about the actual DocuWare system, the licenses, the migration of what's on there now to the new system, training, as well as a discount, and it's going to be $6,910.
All right, any other, you have a second, any other discussion on this?
Mr. Supervisor, just real quick, Dell, could you clarify again which line item will that go into under, we're looking at cost center 215 under the clerk's department, or is this going to be like a capital investment?
It's going to be
I know you've got equipment and software budgeted for the elections department because of the new voting equipment that's being acquired, but
Right.
should we amend that cost center to reflect an extra $6,000 under equipment and software under your department?
Yeah, it was, yeah, I think we should allocate some money from the, just transfer money from the software, from the elections over to the clerk's software of, go, 6,000, we just put the full amount, $6,915.
I'll support that transfer, Mr. Supervisor.
Any other questions on this? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Okay, moving on down to the SAW grant resolution, Mr. Converse.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that resolutions number 2017-07-11-01 be approved. This is the resolution to adopt Stantec to be our consultant on this, and the motion is read as such. Whereas Salem Township sewer system is over 20 years old, and the township has been fortunate that it has not incurred many maintenance expenses. Any costs that have occurred were either paid for by the existing reserves or was funded by the township general fund. We are aware that major repairs may be necessary in the future due to the age of the sewer system. Whereas in November 2013, the township applied for and was finally awarded the Stormwater Asset Management Wastewater SAW grant through the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality in December of 2016. The grant will cover 90% of the development of the asset management program in the Hamlet system necessary to address future needs of the Hamlet sewer system by developing an asset management program. The asset management program will include a complete asset inventory, condition assessment, capital improvement plan, life cycle analysis, and asset work order management software coordination, if deemed necessary by the township. At the 2.5-year mark of the award, after awarding of the grant, the township will be required to submit a rate gap analysis to the MDEQ, operating fund versus revenue. The township will be required at that time to take measures towards adjusting the sewer rates if a gap is detected. No action will be needed if the analysis shows no gap. Whereas Stantec Engineering will oversee completing the engineering work associated with the grant. They will be closely working with the Highland Treatment, who have been operating the WWTP system for the township. The request for bid process has commenced at the closed caption TV inspection of approximately 10,132 feet of the mains and laterals and the evaluation of the conditions of the 35 manholes. Now it is hereby resolved that this resolution is to be awarded Stantec, to award Stantec the engine work described in their proposal, letter dated November 13, 2013, and to authorize execution of all eligible activities depicted in the 2013 SAW grant on behalf of Salem Township on 11th day of July 2017.
Okay, I'll second that resolution, Mr. Converse. I don't know if I can kind of, this is more or less the SAW grant that the engineers here were last, from Stantec last month. This is just basically giving them the authorization to be ahead of the grant money, which was, I don't know, was it 300,000 or something like that, in the vicinity, to manage that. And then I have a motion after this resolution as far as the steps they're going to be taking on doing the imaging and camera of the sewer system that's in the hamlet. So that's what this is about. Any other questions on it, or some board has any questions on what this is about? If not, Mr. Clerk? Roll call, yes.
Converse,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
DeLuca,
Yes.
Trent,
Yes.
Wensley, yes, and Whitaker.
Yes. Okay, so moving down, I move that Salem Township approve and authorize Young's Environmental Cleanup Incorporated to complete the CCTV work as described in the attached proposal according to eligibility guidelines in the 2013 SAW grant. Have a second?
I'll second.
Converse seconds. Board members, you see the quotes that are in there. Our engineer, Stamp Tech, asked for 3 companies to bid on the imaging the camera of the sewer system in the hamlet. And 2 people had quoted on it. The prices were quite high compared to what they had said that usually would cost to evaluate this before we applied for the grant. There were some issues that they were questioning as far as water, because we don't have hydrants, traffic, and different stuff to get the job done. Our engineers went back, and the proposal that came in is from Young's, who was the cheapest. And as you see in front of you, the imaging camera is like $34,480, which would be out of the SAW grant. And if they do a light cleaning, it's $36,981. And if it's a heavy cleaning, it's $49,646. Again, our engineers will be in charge of this program to see what needs to be done and keep us informed of what the results are after they start doing the imaging of the sewer system. The manhole covers, a lot of them, actually, if you remember back a few months ago, one of the manhole covers were actually missing, heavy rain, and that's what kind of overflowed the sewer system. And so them need to be checked, and there's a lot of, if the stormwater comes in heavy rains, it's over capacity. So we have to tighten it up, and this is what this is about. So we have a second. Any other questions, or? I believe there's going to be a meeting the next week or so with the company to get started and with the engineers, just so you know that's going to be. All right, if not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is passed. Okay. Next item is RFP.
Mr. Supervisor, I move that Salem Township approve the creation of an IT support service committee that have the following charges: prepare an RFP for information technology service support services, advertise the RFP in papers of record, compile a list of submitting bids to be approved by the Board of Trustees, and make recommendations on the top 3 firms to be considered for the interview. The committee will be comprised of myself and as chair, and Dale Wensley as
Do all of us have a copy of this? Anybody else have a copy?
who said you?
No, you said you were going to.
I mean, it's surprising that.
I don't run the copy machine.
Not to. Thank you, Dale. Because none of us have a copy of this. This is kind of a last minute deal.
All right, let's make a copy of it.
about baling hay. Gonna get a little ripe, ain't it?
Okay, so as he's making some copies, just a little bit discussion about this. Couple of questions. All right, so can we talk about what's going on with this with the,
We got traders to do.
so we're talking about the, our computers, tech work, right now it's,
You didn't do your mother's yet.
what's the name of it? Tower is our communication for our tech service, so I know there's been some issues, but anybody want to?
I'll start off with an introduction, Mr. Supervisor, and then I'll pass the baton to Mr. Converse. In November of 2009, due to a transition in responsibility of our IT support services that used to be conducted internally by a member of our board, Mr. Plato brought to the board's attention at that time a company called Tower Computer Services. We have utilized them since then. In 2010, we actually went through a formal RFP quote, and Tower Computer was one of 4 finalists that were considered by a committee, and that committee made a unanimous recommendation to utilize Tower Services, and they've been with us now since 2010. Obviously, in the world of IT and what we hear in the news on a regular basis about breach of data, concerns, etc., this issue has been elevated in the minds of several of us on this board. And with that, I'll pass the baton to Mr. Converse for the purpose of this committee being formed.
Without getting into a lot of discussion, my awareness was heightened about 3 months ago when we started getting some very, very anti-Semitic mails through the fax machines. And we had the IT people from the county come in, start checking out where it was coming from. It was coming from someplace in Germany. Well, come to find out, we had some open ports. And when you have an open port, that's open to the public. And we went back before Tower, our computer support people, and they made me a little bit more than upset because they were trying to wanted me to tell them how to fix it. And I'm not necessarily in that business and don't know what I'm talking about the majority of the time when it comes to computer support. But they did come back in, they did get it plugged, we did move some stuff around. But as all of you know, that every 30-some seconds, there's a company here that's been going after. Townships are the front line, because what these hackers are after, they're after us to get our information to the banks so they can get into the banks. And I've attended a couple, 2-3 classes at the MTA, as well as our Township Trade Association had a person come through, and it's a very scary and it's a very real subject that we have to deal with. And David and I have been looking at this, and we do not feel that we're getting the support that we need. We've already interviewed one company that we just picked up there. They come back in, and they're actually a little bit cheaper than what we're paying right now, but we can have backups on a weekly basis. We can have our own little cloud service where it's secure. We have a lot better service that we've been getting from what we're at. But that's just one company, and we need to go back out for an RFP to find out exactly what is out there, what we can best we can get for our money, because we are vulnerable. I can't say that strong enough. We are vulnerable. And I do not want to continue on the way we're at right now with the possibility of being hacked. And it's real. So with that, that's the reason why I've been kind of pushing it. David has been pushing it as well, and I think we really need to go back through and go through an RFP, because that contract that he said was approved in 2010 has long expired, and we are now basically working without a contract. So it's time that we go back out there and start working.
And Mr. Supervisor, just to add an extra point, what's being distributed for your information is the RFP that was utilized back in 2010 that this committee, pending approval by the board, could use as a template that they can modify. And I think we should give the committee the flexibility to modify and update the RFP as necessary, and let them take care of these 4 items that are bullet pointed on your motion. And then they can certainly come back and give us an update as they go through that process if they feel that there would be additional members that would be beneficial to the committee in their consideration of the bids that come in.
Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, just for the record, for clarification, the history, it was not me that recommended Howard. It was my prior law firm.
Yeah, but you were representing that law firm, Mr. Plato.
I was part of that law firm.
Well, there you go.
I did not make the recommendation.
Yes, you did. Your law firm. You were a part of it. Hanging that with you forever.
Now, I've been the supervisor for almost 5 years now, and I don't think I've ever scolded anybody up here, which is really not my job to do it. But I would appreciate, before you do anything, that I would have some insight in what you're just doing right now. I just think that would be a little bit of courtesy to the supervisor, instead of running copies and wasting people's time. So, I'm not upset, but I'm just saying it would have been nice if I would have known this was going to be on the agenda. I think it's important. I think the hacking thing, or what people are talking about, it's very real. I think what happened here at the township was not a big issue. The sheriff came in here and said it happens all the time. And if you have home computers, you have stuff that comes over, it was not a big issue. But some people in the office made it a big issue, and had the sheriff in here, and Homeland Security was here, and it was not a big issue. So I talked to them personally, and so anyway, enough of that. We have a second. Any other discussion?
Who's seconded?
Mr. Trent.
Trent was the maker.
Oh, was he? Well, Dale. It does say that Trent is the maker, so
Mr. Converse is
Mr. Converse is the maker. All right. So we have a second, and in no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's passed. All right, down to reports. Chief Rockwell.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Just had a couple structure fires in June. I wanted to thank one of our firefighters who lives in Northfield Crossings. We had one of the modular homes catch the skirting on fire. He was able, because he lived in the park, was able to actually respond from his house, take garden hose and get it out before it actually spread in underneath the trailer. So that's a nice thing of having firefighters within the township. We also did a mutual aid to South Lyon for their apartment fire. We were fairly involved with that, abating that fire, which I think destroyed at least 1 or 2 units. We also today enjoyed the county training trailers. They are part of a grant process that we paid into, that we share, and allows the fire department and our neighbors to come and train at these trailers. They allow us to do a gas fire, a wood fire. They allow us to rappel. They allow us to do a lot of training in a controlled environment. I want to thank Advanced Disposal and the Great Lakes Recycling Company for allowing us to have the trailers out there so that we can practice. It gives us a great opportunity for us to practice not only as a team for the fire department, but with our neighbors. So I really want to thank them for that help. Last thing is, we've had a number of pretty bad car accidents just recently, and both on our roads and in our freeways. We ask people to, pay attention, wear their seatbelts, and unfortunately, we've had some fatalities associated with this. So, the summer's out, watch for the bicycle riders and watch for the kids, and just our roads have some pretty high speeds on them, so we get some pretty bad accidents. That's all I have, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, Chief. All right. General updates. We don't have any written down. Just to kind of give you the news on our truck ordinance. We did send out a letter to our businesses as far as when we feel it should take effect is the 15th of this month, which I believe is Saturday. The signs should be put up this week by Friday, hopefully. They are saying that they will be up. I know there was a lot of chattering going on about some of the signs that they had put up already, which was the wrong sign, which caused a lot of confusion. They were just up for maybe a couple hours and taken down. So, but the sign is going to be with 3 trucks on there. It's going to have weight 20 ton, basically with a 5th wheel, with a cab pulling the 5th wheel, either single or double, that will be not permitted through the hamlet. And so we have talked to the law enforcement and talked to the weighmaster, and he assured us what the trucks, trains will weigh, empty or full, as they're coming through. So if they are coming through the town, they can ticket them. So the word is out. I think most the companies have let their drivers know that this is going to be taking effect, and then the law enforcement. And we're not going to be like Barney Fife on the first day, so I don't, please, that's not our intention here. But we do have to get it under control. The other is we talked about the Mueller House. It's been funny. A few people have come up and have offered services that actually do remodeling skills. They have remodeling skills. They also have, they build houses and stuff, and they would like to help participate in redoing that house, which I think is a great idea. So right now we have 2 people that have kind of like to spearhead that thing. So just to kind of give you an update, and since they did, I have a couple other people in mind that might be able to lend some of their services to get that project done. So we'll keep you posted on that. What else can we talk about?
Mr. Supervisor, I stumbled across the Washington County website today. Is it true that the Solid Waste Committee is having a public hearing next week?
Right, that's the 3rd one. That'll be the 3rd and final public hearing. And then after that, then the committee will meet again to go over all the comments of the public hearings that have gone.
Is there anything of significance that you're aware of now that Advanced Disposal dropped their request for the expansion?
No, most of some of our residents showed up when it was here, the first one. So, the questions, just as far as how long the landfill is with the current capacity, and also the issues of them taking over the gas wells, and some issues are still coming in. We have emails coming in with some problems still down there, but they're working on them, and anytime somebody does complain, I'm copied on it, and they seem to be right on top of it, trying to do their best to keep it under control. So I don't think all the problems have been corrected yet, but they sure are working on it. And some of it, I'm just telling you what I hear was that some of the complaints come in, and after the complaints come in, there are people that are there. I don't know how many. I don't know how long it takes you to get there to check them out.
10 to 15 minutes.
10 or 15 minutes, but the odor's not there. But again, it's something they're working on, and I have to say, I appreciate keeping us well informed of what's going on over there. Anything else?
If I could just share some information that our building official, building coordinator shared with me. The state budget just was approved for the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund. 40 townships are going to be receiving monies later in the year after the budget is approved for projects that total several $1 million, some of which will be geared for land acquisition and several other millions that are going to be used for developing trails. And last month you'll remember that we discussed the feasibility study for the Pontiac Trail non-motorized pathway and the potential cost of that project. One of the ideas that we can explore as far as tackling that project, if we decide we want to pursue it, is by applying for grants. The grant cycle begins at the end of the year, and I would encourage us to make use of our engineers, especially Mark Pasco, who's an expert in that field in acquiring grants. He's been very successful with a number of communities in Washtenaw County that have been able to take advantage of these grants and expand their trailways and non-motorized pathways. And so even though that's a big number that we heard as far as a potential cost for this project, every year right now, the state, because of monies that are allocated for these kinds of projects, many communities are enjoying success in obtaining those grant monies. And so I'd like to just advise you that this is something that takes place every year, and we can get queued up to be part of that grant evaluation.
Okay, any other comments? Updates? All right, if not, it's public comment. Funny.
I would like to know where you guys all live, because I'm going to make a path in front of your house and walk back and forth. Because I feel it's a very violation of our privacy out here for you to put a 10-foot non-motorized path in front of people's houses who came out here to be out of that stuff, to be alone. So let me know when you decide, because I'm going to get my path and walk back and forth.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Just who's gonna enforce the truck deals?
The county and the
County,
Waymaster.
say the county.
The
Waymaster.
And the Waymaster.
Has there been an agreement with them yet?
Yeah, we've talked to them. They're supposed, in fact,
I mean,
they're,
you might have talked to them, but has there been an agreement?
it's not an agreement. They're going to take we pay 2 deputies that will be here different hours.
I don't think those deputies have the rights to do that.
Pardon?
I don't think the deputies have the rights to do that for weights.
If it's a township ordinance, they do.
They don't even have weights in their cars.
It's
Scales in
not,
their cars.
again, if you could, we can give you a copy of the truck ordinance, and you'll see that it's not all about the weight, it's about the type of vehicle that's coming through. So you can spot it really easy.
There's weight limit signs on the roads throughout the county. I can name, they're on 8 Mile, they're on Mass Road. You got the same sign with more tonnage because it's for culvert, isn't it?
Right.
But it's the same sign, it's legal, and it can be enforced.
Okay, anybody else? Well, it's early. Oh, Linda?
Yeah, Mr. Trent pushed grants for this non-motorized transit pass last month. Apparently, he's still pushing it. When do the people of the community get to weigh in whether we think it's a wise use of our money? Grant money, once again, is not free money that trickles down from the sky in a rain. It's our tax dollars at work. And as I said last month, I'd much rather that you as a board focus on our roads here in Salem, improve the quality of the gravel roads, ditch them, remove the berm that keeps the water on them, than I would to have a non-motorized pathway that goes from Ann Arbor to South Lyon. There's a lot of issues. You have no public restrooms from the little park in Northfield Township all the way to the library. So there's a lot of issues to have it, and I guess I'd like from the board some type of indication whether you're moving forward with this project or it's dead in the water, or we're going to continue to hear about it every month because there's free money out there that somebody thinks doesn't belong to the taxpayer.
Okay, anybody else? Bonnie?
I'm great for the All-Star game. It's about to start.
What?
All-Star game.
Oh, okay. All right, so I have my last, if everybody's done, my last comment, and Linda, I will address about the bike paths. I don't want to sound negative tonight, so please don't take me that way, but I apologize for voting for that $5,000 fee. I'm just talking about myself, and I know the other board members, but I would think that our engineers or people who were behind this could have very easily drove down. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but there's other things that I know that you could come up with a price when you talked about the millions of dollars they're talking about doing, or what it's going to cost. I just think it's way out of reach. Now, I'm not against bicycle paths myself. I think if you go down to South Lyon, not in here, but if you go to South Lyon and you see them trails in there, a lot of people use them. And I think it's good, it makes sense, but you can drive down Pontiac Trail, at least I have, and knowing that in order to put one down Pontiac Trail, it's millions of dollars. I mean, you could just see of the wood decks and everything that would have to be put in. Either they come up with another idea, but I'm a little disappointed that, the engineer, not to throw our engineers under the bus, but, $15,000 to do a study like that and come back and say what millions of dollars would it would cost. I'd almost like to say, hey, ballpark, this is kind of what we're talking about. Again, if something is out there and they're talking, what was the last estimate? $14 million? Yeah, I mean, we can't even pave Chubb roads. That's what I want to work on. I think we need to concentrate on some of our infrastructure around the township and realize what kind of problems we have. And that's where we need to be focused on putting our energies into something else. And that's what I just think we need to do.
Just a point of clarification, the only thing that the township's been involved with is the study, right?
Correct.
There's no action by the board as far as going ahead with the bike path.
But again, me personally, I feel like I wasted $5,000 of the township money. I mean, that's just me, but I'm not speaking for the rest. But again, I think a bicycle path would be great if it made sense to where the communities could come together. But that kind of price, I mean, I watched, not that I do in my spare time, watch Northfield Township's board meeting, and they don't have any money at all, and they got involved in it, and they're sorry, it just, so.
There's no guarantee it's gonna keep those cyclists off of Pontiac Trail.
Right.
That's true.
I mean, there's a pathway there.
But it would be nice to go bike riding to Ann Arbor. And not get hit.
Yes.
I mean, I got hit on Curtis Road just running down the road, so it's dangerous, so.
You have a target on your back.
Right.
Yellow lines.
All right, folks, hey, thanks for coming tonight, and there's refreshments, stick around, and meet your neighbors, and thanks for being here tonight. We're adjourned.